Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, and the mic is just getting warmed up as the guardian of the blue paint turned writer is about to enlighten us. The show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. For this week's show, Countdown to Expansion. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc. Join Lance and Steel as we bring you all the latest on the Flyers.
Hi guys, welcome back to another edition of the Hockey Writers Inc. As always, I'm your host, Lance Green.
And I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers. And how you doing today, Lance?
I'm all right, man. How about yourself?
Oh, man, I'm doing awesome sauce, man. Doing awesome sauce. We're really excited because we've got a lot of great Flyer stuff to talk about today. Woo! How about that? Yeah,
Yes,
buddy.
sir.
The name of this episode is Countdown to Expansion. That's right. Flyers are going to be dealing with expansion here real soon, and their list is going to be have to be due here real soon too. And we're going to get into it big time here. Lance also wrote two great articles that we're going to talk about on the show tonight. And so, man, I really can't wait to get into it. So here we go, man. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, man. Here we go. All right. Posted just the other day on FlyersNittyGritty.com. Desperate times call for desperate measures, Flyers edition, and it appears that our writer extraordinaire feels that the Flyers are getting to that point, I believe.
Indeed.
Now, in this article, you so dothly bring us back to a special date and time, and I do remember that date and time quite vividly, and it was the huge offer sheet for Shea Weber. It was like 10 years, $110 million or something.
14 years, $110 million. Back in 2012.
Okay. All right. Excuse me while I choke a little bit on that one. 14 years. Oh, my gosh. And you know what? That's almost 10 years ago now.
It's been quite some time.
Right. And the team has not really fully landed one of those players of that caliber. Have they?
No, really, besides re-signing, Giroux and Voracek, who I don't even think's in the same category as Shea, they just re-signed back the guys they drafted or traded for earlier on that aren't, that weren't really anything at the time they traded for them, but since got a little bit better. They really haven't been able to bring in a star player, via free agency or anything in a while. Now, Hextall was against that, and he was trying to rebuild through the draft, and that's why he was brought in. And Chuck Fletcher really has seemed to just follow suit, even though he was given his marching orders to try to make the NHL club better, quick, fast, in a hurry. So I'm wondering still when that's going to happen.
Okay. Any day now here, buddy. We're waiting. Okay, sorry. Look, there's no sense hiding how we feel about the Flyers and their need, the need for a winger that can score, maybe be taller than 5'10", maybe weigh more than 178 pounds soaking wet. I mean, this team needs a finisher. Okay. Yes. And you mentioned one in this article from the Islanders.
Yes. So a lot of teams out there have some amazing young talent that are restricted free agents. And it might be time to revisit this idea again. It has not worked out for the Flyers in the past via Shea Weber and, one or two before him, but therein lies the problem. They did so and went after a team's player who had the salary cap in which to retain them. Many teams this year, like Detroit has Tyler Bertuzzi, would be a great Flyer, hard-nosed kid, but they have $48 million in salary cap to spend this year and could easily match it. So that's not going to do us any good. The Islanders, on the other hand, have a slew of both unrestricted and restricted free agents who are needing to be signed and of new contracts, but only have $5.7 million in cap space to do it this year. So they, in my mind, are the perfect opportunity to steal one of these players from them.
And not me. Not me, Steel. No,
Right.
no.
No.
SDEAL.
AL.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
So, as you mentioned, one of these great young wingers who's a restricted free agent for the Islanders is 24-year-old Anthony Beauvillier. And he is
Boy,
a
I could
name.
see him in black and orange.
He's a name for sure. He's a 2015 former first-round pick. And in 47 games this season, he's scored 15 goals, 13 assists for 28 points. This guy has the nickname Mr. Overtime because he scores clutch goals and he has the speed in which to get by everybody on the ice in which to do so.
Yeah.
All right. In his short career, he's already played in 49 playoff games and has 29 points in that short amount of time.
Wow.
That's a lot of games for somebody that's so young. All right. He's helped this Islanders team out a lot, and he's overshadowed by the great Barzell, but not by much. This kid does have a thing of his own, and he is exciting to watch out on the ice.
Okay.
He made just $2.4 million last season, and the Flyers could steal him away if they are willing to add in a little bit extra, in there to re-sign him. And for that matter, I think it'd be great in order to do so. As we're going to talk about in this next segment, they might have a little extra salary cap after this expansion draft in which to do so. So
yeah, well,
we'll talk about that in a minute. Yes.
Not holding my breath on that, but okay.
Yeah, right.
No, I get what you're saying, and I would. Beauvillier would be a great addition to the Flyers. He played very well in the playoffs this past year. He was one of their leading scorers in the playoffs this year, and I agree, Mr. Overtime. All right, that's exactly the type of player that the Flyers need. A guy that shoots first, a guy that's looking to score, not a guy looking to pass or whatever the case is. Look, the list of things that the Flyers need this offseason should also include a top pair D-man. And maybe the said player could be a certain Adam Pelech.
Yes. So he's a very underrated player that the Islanders have on their team. The only thing about him that's a little concerning is he's a left-hand shot. We have plenty of left-hand shots, but here's my theory. The Flyers are circling the wagons around a couple of key trades that might happen. Everybody's heard of, Seth Jones and everything like that being out there, and and some others. But if they maybe trade Travis Sanheim or somebody else for Seth Jones, then he would be a key piece to bring in to replace, that kind of player. Adam is a top line player, and he does so and plays an old school style of game. He is defensively responsible, and he's just 26 years old. He doesn't do much on the score sheet, which I don't like my defensemen to do. In a sense, I want them to stay home and do the job first of guarding the net and making sure other teams don't score. Call me old-fashioned, but this goalie likes somebody that protects his net. So in that career, in that time span, Adam's a credible plus 42 on his career. Okay? The Flyers single-handedly don't have a defenseman on their team that is that. Okay? He would be a perfect upgrade or replacement given who's gonna leave the team.
And you said he only made like what, 2.5
million.
And he's a restricted free or unrestricted?
He is a restricted free agent as well.
Okay, but you also but from where he's coming from, the team that he's coming from, they're cap strapped a little bit too.
For sure. He's coming from the Islanders. All three players are
Oh
from the
yeah, okay.
Islanders.
All right,
So
yeah.
this is the same amount. It's giving you three different players that the Flyers could go after in this article. And all three are coming from the Islanders. And that's the case in point here. On top of the unrestricted free agents that they have the restricted free agents in these three guys that I mentioned in this article that they're going to have to pay, or at least try to. And I don't think that they're going to be able to pay all three of them if they
No.
don't move somebody or something else. So,
Well, and especially with Anders Lee coming back. Okay, and they went out and got two guys to help, you know, take that place there at the trade deadline.
Well, I think both those guys from New Jersey are going to be gone. I don't think they're going to be signed back.
I think one of them has term. I think one of them has 2 years, so I think one of them has term, and the other one's going to be a restricted free agent or unrestricted free agent this year. Yeah. So, but still, though, they're going to have some issues where they're going to need to try, and they're going to potentially have some cap space freed up too with the expansion draft. So, you know, I get where you're going, and I like so far these players that you've selected. And you know, we could have done this to like save Tampa Bay, because Tampa Bay has maybe not all three players could have come from Tampa Bay, but they do have a plethora of talent that's going to potentially be available that they probably won't be able to sign.
No,
you know what I mean?
They're as far as next year goes, they're minus $3.5 million in the cap.
Yeah.
Tampa is.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to get rid of somebody. They, as Dougie Hamilton said, we got beat by a team that's, 10 plus million over the cap right now, something ridiculous, because they had both everybody and their mother come back healthy magically for the playoffs. So imagine that.
Oh well,
Yeah.
They played within the rules, and so
they definitely did. They definitely did. You can't. I for one can't knock them for that. If they figured out the system, then by all means, rest your veterans and do that. And maybe some people don't like it, but until the rules are changed, I think people are gonna take that and run with it. So.
Exactly. And Tampa Bay has also played the most hockey for the longest with the shortest break.
Yeah.
So the fact that they rested those guys, I don't have an issue with that at all. I understand other folks do, and I understand why, because that basically cheapens the game, because that lets a guy who is making $9 million a year, he still gets to collect his salary, but it doesn't count against the cap because he's on injured reserve. You know what I mean? So I get it. All right, I understand, and I'm not advocating for teams to continue to do that. But what I'm saying is that they played within the letter of the rules, and so that's how it goes. And they're the ones hoisting the cup this year, and so there you have it. All right. Now the last player the last piece of the puzzle here for the Flyers is, of course, a backup goalie. I mean, look, I think that one actually should have been first as far as priorities go, because I think backup goalies are going to need to happen much sooner rather than later. But and this is the other major piece of the puzzle here that needs to happen this offseason for the Flyers in order, I believe, for them to move on. And you point out in the article, you mentioned just such a goalie for the Flyers. And you know what? Of all the goalies out there, I never would have thought of Ilya Sorokin from the Islanders.
Right. So, this article, I named three different players and three different key positions that the Flyers need to upgrade. And, do I think that they're going to get all of them if they were able to do this trade? No, they're going to get one of them via this means. But, if they wanted to, they could do it, and get one of these guys out of the three and address the other positions, some other way, trades or free agency, mind you, whatever, unrestricted free agents, that is. But, this is just another player that the Islanders are going to have to re-sign or try to. in that sense. He is 25 years old, and Ilya is a 2014 former third-round pick. He's played 1 year in the NHL so far. And a lot of people say, well, that isn't the veteran that we're all looking for here. But I have to say that, this guy played 8 professional seasons in the KHL prior to becoming a New York Islander. All right. He has KHL championships. He has 5 consecutive KHL All-Star Game appearances. Okay, he has playoff MVPs over there as well. This is no 19-year-old kid that's coming straight out of, junior
gotcha.
and trying to start here. This season, he caught on quicker than most goalies from overseas do when he jumped straight into the NHL and won 13 games this season in the regular season out of 21 starts. 3 of those being shutouts, mind you. This is the future number 1 goalie of the Islanders in their mind, but currently they're paying a guy named Varlamov $5 million plus a year to be that guy. So where is all this money going to be coming from when they only have $5.7 million, which to sign all 3 of these guys, plus a lengthy list of unrestricted free agents just to fill out their, even if that was bottom dwelling guys on the free agency list, it's still, they got to put bodies on to make a complete roster. And I really don't see how Lou Lamoriello is going to do it for the Islanders. That's one guy I would not really want to mess with in these terms. But like I said, desperate times call for desperate measures. And I think Chuck Fletcher knows that he has to do something this offseason.
Well, it doesn't get any more desperate than what the team is now. I mean, if the current administration feels that they can basically just roll with the team as is, and put that back out on the ice next year, the same coaching minus Lappy, and then whoever else they bring in to replace him if they do. You know what I mean? And if they think that they're just going to put that same basic team out there and not really do much of anything really, and expect those expectations to still be at that, all-time, Stanley Cup winning high, that's
how'd that work out for him this season?
Yes. It didn't.
So one more point on this before we move on is the fact that if Chuck Fletcher doesn't want to necessarily be this risky and go out and maybe try to sign a restricted free agent like this from the Islanders, maybe he should be smart enough to call up Lou and try to get a player who could, via trade, who could help this team to free his cap space, Lou's cap space, and be able to get a guy that would be good for our team, okay? A guy like Cal Clutterbuck, Matt Martin, or Russ Johnson, all who are very physical players and excel in penalty-killing situations as well, as we all know that we did not do so well at this year.
No, and you know what? I agree with you on that 100%, and look, you and I are both on the same page when it comes to the Flyers off-season needs, and I think that this article just hits it out of the park, man. These 3 players, even the suggestion of some other players, could effectively put Philadelphia back on track if there is a way to make these moves happen. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be the major key here. I think also too, one of the things that we've talked about too on this and on many shows, the Flyers off-season needs and the moves that are not made, then it's just going to be interesting to see how long of a rope the coach and the GM have if things do not improve drastically. I mean, what I mean by that is this: if we do, like, if the Flyers don't really do much of anything, they do minimal moves to bring in a backup goalie, and that's probably about it. They lose a player in the expansion draft. They free up a little bit of cap space, right? And they go out and get a backup goalie. Okay. And they're going to probably re-sign and protect players that probably have no business being on the team. Okay. In my opinion, just my opinion only. Okay. And I that to me is just going to spell the end.
Yeah, I think you hit it there. You know, where there's a will, there's a way. And I really don't want to hear from, you know, this time next season when the Flyers are out of the playoffs or don't even make the playoffs again, with, you know, Comcast Spectacor's chairman coming on again and saying, well, it wasn't for not trying. All right, there's a will, there's a way. You can get it done. There's teams in the playoffs like Tampa Bay who went out there, cap strapped and everything, which they were, and went out there and got a star defenseman that was linked to the Flyers who we didn't go out and get, you know, and other pieces. So if they want to win, there is a way to do it. It's just if you have the cojones enough to be able to go out there and do it and be able to risk, you know, pieces in order to do so. You know, prospects are nice, but there's no guarantee that they're going to turn into NHL superstars. And, you know, they are a hot commodity around the league. And if you are true contenders and wanting to be, you know, able to jump out there and do something about it, you're going to need to go out there and make moves and do whatever you need to do so.
I don't think any of the moves that you have suggested in your articles, I don't think any of the moves that we've suggested in any of the shows that we've done in the last, oh gosh, what are we at now? 36 now? Right, 36 shows. Holy moly, can you believe it? Wow. 36 shows, brother. Wow. In the 36 shows, we've said pretty much the same thing from the beginning. The Flyers need bang, 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 and da-da-da-da-da-da. And if none of these things happen, then guess what? Yeah. Team's not going to win. And yet, is it because the only thing I can think of right now is the only reason why anything is not being done is because it's before the expansion draft. And any moves or any trades or deals that you make now, that player is now going to either be somebody you're going to have to protect or whatever the case is. And you know what? I wouldn't necessarily have a problem if they did do a move now and did protect that player.
Yeah.
Because at least to me, that shows me that Chuck is trying to win. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
this season's going to be very, very quick. You know, with the expansion draft, immediately after that, you have the entry draft of all new players, and then, you know, free agency begins shortly after that. There's no time in that to be discussing lengthy trades, and he's been doing that for weeks. And in my mind, it should have happened already. If he wants to set forth a good precedence and maybe even draw some unrestricted free agents in, you got to show a term of good faith of saying, hey, I'm trying to do something here special, and we want you to be a part of it, rather than going, hey, this is the team we had, and you know, you would help out a lot. Well, that's not going to really bring too many people in when the Flyers were as bad as they were this past season.
That's not a good recruiting ploy there, Chuck. Yeah. No, you gotta make it look like you're trying to win, at least, kind of, sort of. I mean, you would think, and if at least you're trying to keep your job. I mean, I would think you'd at least be trying to keep your job. Maybe look.
If not, can I get an application?
Yes, please. Thank you. I get no. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. I'm just not going to go there, but I would like an application, please, to apply for the position of general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, along with, of course, the know-how right here sitting next to me. I mean, come on. He would actually be better. He would be a better GM than I would be, because I would be too emotional. I would be slapping players, man. I would be throwing chairs. Like, if we lose and the way the Flyers have lost over the last year, I don't care if I was the coach or not. As a general manager, I'd be down there throwing chairs and coolers, and probably a good thing I wouldn't be the general manager then. I don't know. What do you think? You think you'd be a better general manager?
I would like to give it a shot. I think all my articles are very truthful in what could actually happen. I see a lot of stuff. I don't read it, but I see a lot of stuff going out there with ridiculous stuff about how the Flyers should go out and get Jack Eichel, a $10 million player. I'm sorry, we don't have the cap space for that, and I wouldn't want him anyway. Or the Flyers should go out and get Dougie Hamilton. Well, he's going to cost any team trying to get his services about $8-9 million in salary cap per year, and he's probably going to want a pretty lengthy deal to be as old as he is. No, thank you. I don't think that's the right move for the Flyers either. It wouldn't work cap-wise, and it just doesn't make sense to throw names out there just because you like that player. I'm sorry, it doesn't fit within the guidelines of the salary cap and or really fit the makeup of this team. So, I like to propose moves that I actually think out a little bit and make note of different stuff and, could fit within the confines of all the parameters that are going on in the world of the Flyers right now.
One of the reasons why we do this show, Lance, is because of all of the work that you put into your articles and all of the research that you put into your articles, because you're not just pulling this stuff out of the bloody air.
Right.
Okay.
I have a lot of it up here.
But what I'm saying is,
I know. I just go forth and make sure it's all right before I put it on paper.
No, I'm with you though. But what I'm saying is that that's why we do this show, man. That's why the show is so good, because your articles are so good, because you have the research, you have the knowledge. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's why this is all good. Look, that's why I think you'd make a much better GM than I would, because I'd be too emotional. I couldn't handle it. So I would actually love to. Yeah, man, I know that guy. That's Lance Green, man. He's a general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers. He's my buddy. Yeah. Anyway, so sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that tangent, but a great article, Lance. I really appreciate this one here. Desperate Times Call for Desperate Measures, Flyers edition. That was the first article that we're going to talk about, and we are going to take a quick little break. We're gonna bring out the dogs. Woohoo! Bring out the doggies. We're gonna have a word from our sponsor, Canine Country Club Resorts. They're celebrating their 30th year of being in business this year. That's right, folks. 30 years. Imagine that. 2 great locations to service you. They've got top-notch groomers to take care of all of your pets' needs there as far as that's concerned. They got daycare, indoor and outdoor pool. Give them a call or check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com or check them out on Facebook. We'll be right back right after this word from Canine Country Club Resorts. Greetings. This is SteelFlyers from the SteelFlyers All Sports Network, and we have 2 very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of 2 locations, both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. SteelFlyers stands behind this company 100%. Taking care of SteelFlyers furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So, how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The SteelFlyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hockey Writers Inc. I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers, and our lovely host,
Lance Green.
Yeah, man. And here we go, man. We're going to be diving right into article number 2 here from our writer extraordinaire. That's right, buddy. Lance Green put an article out just this morning. Extra, read all about it. Released just today. The Guardian of the Blue Paint turned writer unleashed his latest article on FlyersNittyGritty.com, and with the NHL expansion draft looming, who might the Flyers' old bench boss snag for Seattle? Ladies and gents, I honestly feel that a player will be selected by the Kraken from the Flyers, but it might not be who the team and the fans want it to be. So, Mr. Lance broke it down for us in this most awesome article. I know I said most awesome, but I like the breakdown. I like the points of view here, and these players are players that most of them are players that the fans would like to see go.
Sure.
Okay. But potentially. So we're going to get into that. Okay. And I think that this is worth talking about, especially because we're getting into the countdown to expansion here, and the list needs to be out here in
July 17th. Yeah, July 17th. We have to have the list in to the NHL of who they're going to protect. So I'm excited to see who we're going to protect, who we're not. for sure. And then the Kraken will make their official selections of their first NHL roster on July 21st at 8 p.m.
Yeah, man. That should be exciting, and we will definitely be tuned in for that. We might even have a show during that. I don't know. We might. I don't know. Stay tuned. Hang tight. But anyway, what I want to do though is I want to talk about this article that you wrote, and I want to get into this one here because you break it down so perfectly. And these are the list of players that, like I said, the fans would love to see go because of the salary issues and what it could do to help the Flyers in this offseason if they were to have a little bit more money to spend in the offseason as well too. So I'm going to start right off from the top. I'm going to go with Captain Obvious right here, and that's Shane Gosselsberger. Okay. Look, you point out in the article that he played exceptionally well under Hackstall.
Yeah, I mean, he still had his defensive foes and polys and problems, but that is Shane Gosselsberger at this point. We knew that, but they drafted him and for his offense abilities for sure. And during that time, his 4 years of play, or 3 and change since Hackstall was let go at midseason. He scored 46 goals and had 141 assists for 187 points during that time span. Again, this is a defenseman. He was not always the favorite of Dave Hackstall, but he was very, very productive on that power play that Dave ran. So, that it's interesting. It's an interesting pick. He has a couple years left of $4.5 million on the books. So it's a guy that would potentially be there. And he is a little bit older, so he could help out some younger guys. Now, I think what the biggest thing here to remember is that the Flyers potentially have the chance to lose some really good players. They don't, per se, fit necessarily into the Flyers system that they run currently. And a lot of them have been around town for quite a while and kind of need a, different place to hang out, let's say.
That's a good way to put it.
But there are some good players. Now, other teams around the league, they have some good goaltenders to offer. Seattle for the picking, and they have some great young defensemen. To be out there. So it should be interesting, but not a lot of good offensive talent around the league. A lot of guys, third and fourth line is not quite there. There's some couple names that come out there, but a lot of teams don't have the type of scoring, say, maybe this next guy we'll talk about has had in his career.
Okay. Look, here's the thing. Shane Gosselsberger was his most productive under Hackstall.
Without question.
Without question. And when Hackstall left, he had two serious knee injuries that basically hindered him to be a shell of his former self. Okay. He came on this year a little bit.
Finally healthy, 100% healthy.
100% healthy. He got hammered with COVID this year, unfortunately. But he came back 100% healthy this year, played relatively well. I mean, I believe I've always been a fan of Shane Gosselsberger. I've always been a fan of him, and I've always wanted to see him succeed. And it's always been a shame to see him being healthy scratched and things of that nature, because you can't build a consistent game when you're not consistently in the lineup. And I think this past year he learned to consistently be in the lineup. Okay.
I think he was tired of being out of the lineup for sure, and watching other guys play from the press box. So he kind of bought into the system quite a bit this season. And played like, that whole defensive thing that he was supposed to be doing his whole career that he never was. So
hey, imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. He stayed in the lineup a little bit more.
Well, yeah.
And he was, in my mind, one of the team's better defensemen.
Agreed.
Behind Provorov this year.
Yeah. No, I agree. In fact, I would have much rather seen him play every single game, every single night, instead of another player that played every single night. Justin Braun, come to mind? Yeah, maybe. All right, whatever. What do I know? Anyway, so Shane Gosselsberger, yeah, 4.5 million off the books. That would be a nice little help for the Flyers. Everybody's looking at that and going, yeah, that would be great. We could get rid of Shane Gosselsberger, 4.5 million. Man, we could sign another, yeah, that would be great. That would add to the pile of money the Flyers could go and spend in this offseason, which we need to do. Now, the next player on the list is a player that I feel was
wore out his welcome.
That would be putting it mildly. He signed an elite player contract without being an elite player. I really felt that the contract that he was given was basically to keep him in Philadelphia. To be honest with you, that's the only reason why I feel that Jacob Voracek is making the kind of money that he's making, because let's face it, there are players out there that are younger than him that are way more productive of him. He's what, 0.71, 0.76 a point per game player right now, and he's making 8.25 million. What? Everybody else that's making that kind of money is well over a point per game player. So how does that equate?
Yeah, you got that right. 8.25 million is a ton of money for a player, especially when his highest career year to date has only been 85 points. Guys that are getting paid in that realm have had multiple 100-point seasons and, score a lot more goals. Voracek, during his time under Hackstall, who is, he's only 31 now, but over that course, he, of course, was there through all the years of Hackstall as well. He had 71 goals, 196 assists, and 267 points. He had 3 consecutive years of 20 goals, something he hasn't done either since Hackstall left. So to put it nicely as well, his career highest year, 85 points, like I mentioned previously, was under Hackstall as well. His system was very offensive surrounding. So it's interesting to say the least on the fact that this could happen. Will it happen? Probably not, in my mind. The Kraken will definitely see his name there and Ron Francis and all that. But I mean, I think there's others out there, even though it's Voracek and he does have a very extensive list of stats. It's not to that level to deal with that contract, even though they got to hit the salary cap floor and need some cap space to do so. I don't see him getting picked, but who knows? I mean, who knows who Dave really liked and might be in the ear of Ron Francis. Voracek did very well during his time here. So
it was his most productive time when he was under Coach Hackstall.
Right.
Voracek was. Okay. Yes. And, I could see him being a potential building block for them. Being a veteran who, can play in the important situations, can be that guy that's out there at, the last 2 minutes of the game or, whatever the case is. And I get it, but.
Now, don't get me wrong here either, though, because we talked about this before. He is a pass-first player. Yeah. And if they somehow go out and get a sniper, a scorer, and put him on a line with a guy that can just put pucks in the net, then by all means, he might have a career turnaround at his later ages here. But, when you put him out on the ice with Giroux, who's getting paid an absorbent amount of money as well, who is also a pass-first player, that doesn't lend very nicely to, Voracek's totals when the person he's passing the puck to is just passing the puck back to him.
And then they never put anybody on that line, or they never stayed with anybody consistently on that line that could play with them, that was going to be a shoot first player. They just never were able to put that out there. So
I mean, they never had that even with, Hartnell or Simmons. They were both guys who like to stand in front of the net. Well, you need a guy to shoot the puck, in order for those players to score. So it just was never really the right dynamic their whole time here.
It seems like this is almost like dysfunctional. Like the team wants to play one way, but yet they draft and bring players in that play another way.
Mm.
I mean, I can't be the only one that sees this.
No.
Okay. No. All right. So let's move on to the next train wreck. I mean, next player that potentially could be, would love to see. I actually would like to see JVR stay. And of all the names that we've talked about on this list so far, I wouldn't mind if Shane stayed, if Gosselsberger stayed. I wouldn't mind if that happened, if he was not selected. I don't think he should be protected, but if he's not selected, I would be all right with that. I'm Shane Gosselsberger. The other guys on the list, all right. I'd like to see James Van Riemsdyk stick around, because to be honest with you, I think $7.25 million for somebody who could potentially score 25 goals a season for the next 2 years is okay with. I'm okay with that. Potentially him getting, in the 50-point range. I'll take that. For the next 2 years, he's a good, solid guy. He showed me a little something this year. He dropped off a little bit at the end, but he definitely showed me a lot more this year than what he did in the previous year. So,
for sure,
I don't know, man.
For sure, yeah. JVR is a area kid. He's from Jersey. He loves the area. He loves being a Flyer. That's why he came back. He has scored 264 goals in his career and 524 points.
Mm-hmm.
He can produce, like you said, but he doesn't fit into the system.
Yeah.
He this year, just like Ghost, he tried his hardest to come back and play that defensively responsible system that AV runs. And he did a lot better than he did in the previous year. As when you're on the ice, that's saying something compared to last year.
Right.
Right. So, who knows? He only played 1 year under Hackstall, and that was his best year in Philly, both prior to being traded to Detroit and since returning from. And it goes without saying, the kid can score. In that year with Hackstall, he scored 27 goals. It's intriguing. A guy $7 million, like you said, it could entice Seattle enough to bring him in and select him, because he did score 36 goals the last time he played a complete season of 82 games. This past year, I think, what was it, 50-some games, and the one before that, I think JVR only played in 50-some games as well, and was still registering goals pretty frequently. Yeah. But let's see what he can do with 82 games.
Yeah.
I'm willing to see that. I'd much rather have him here than, say, Jacob Voracek.
See, like I said, and he also scored a lot of power play goals too.
Sure.
For the Flyers. So you know what I mean. He's one of those guys that's a shoot first guy on the power play.
Yeah. Yeah, he is one of my favorite guys to talk to in the locker room when I was allowed before COVID to go in the locker room. He loves being here, and he's just a class act, a really nice guy, and I would like to see him stay, but he doesn't fit into the system, and if like you said earlier, and like we said on previous shows, the Flyers have to get guys, if they're going to stick with this AV system, they have to stop drafting guys that don't fit into it and bringing in guys that don't really run that style or play that style of game. If you want to play a defensively responsible style game, you need defensively responsible players.
Duh. It ain't rocket science there, folks.
It's not, but apparently it seems to be. So I don't know, but I do like JVR, and out of all of them, I would mention so far, I would like to see him stay.
Yeah,
So,
like I said,
I think if given the right pieces to play with him, he can be productive.
Like I said, I thought he was productive this year because you could definitely tell he bought into the system.
Yeah, he definitely
I mean?
did. And if somehow they could strap maybe some rockets on the back of his skates or something like that, so he doesn't skate like he has cement for skates, that would be great too. That would be great.
Yeah, he's definitely slowed down.
Yeah.
In the last 2 seasons, definitely slowed down as well as far as that's concerned. But look, I still think he has some value. I still think he has something still left in the tank. He's not that terribly old.
No.
And if Seattle were to take him, that would free up $7.25 million off the books. That would go miles in allowing the Flyers to do some major off-season moves that we would really like to see them make.
Yeah.
But it's not that we want to see them make it, but I think we feel that if they want to try to prove like they want to win, they need to make these moves, don't they?
Yes, but here's the thing, though. They need to make them over the course of a couple different contracts, a couple different players. They don't need to just go out there and pay whoever's on the top of the free agent list the most money they can and bring in one guy.
And that's it.
They need to bring in multiple people that can fill a third and fourth line role as well. You don't need a $7 million player to come right back in and replace him. You can replace him with, 2 guys making 3.5 that are going to shore up your third and fourth line, a lot better and score maybe 10 to 15 goals each.
Yeah, exactly. And I would much rather have that, to be honest with you, because that gives me some depth. You know what I mean? That gives me,
Or give me a better quality defenseman, or give me a better quality backup goaltender. You just don't need to go out and replace one big, expensive winger for another big expensive winger. Because honestly, I mean, we're not going to get Gabriel Landeskog. He's going to go back to Colorado. We're not going to get Alexander Ovechkin, who's a free agent as well. He's going to go back to Washington.
We're not going to get Eichel.
Right, and after that, the free agents list is falls off drastically as far as offense goes. It's pieces. It's people that can come in and play a part or a role. It's not a 36 goal scorer that James Reebsdyke was. Matt Hoffman did not have that great a year either, who's a free agent as well. So we don't need to go out and just spend money because we now have money.
Yeah. And all right, well, we both feel that Reebsdyke has got something left in the tank. We both agree that he would be, of all the players that we're talking about here on this list, that he would be the one that we would like to see stay. If he doesn't stay, I'm not going to be, losing sleep over it, but yeah. Okay. Now, this next player that you mentioned, and this is why I love this article, because this is more along the lines of what I think is going to happen. Okay, because when you look at the guys that you've mentioned on the list so far, Shane Gosselsberger, man, I don't know about you, but he doesn't come across as a Ron Francis guy.
I don't know. Ron Francis was a high-scoring guy that was a career minus player, so
maybe. Is Jacob Voracek that Ron Francis type of player? Is JVR that Ron Francis type of player? That's why it's like more than likely, even though all these players, especially the Flyers and Toronto, all have players now that are connected to Hackstall. So, the Toronto's probably quaking in their boots too, going, "Oh my gosh, he knows all the great players that we have that he could snag or whatever," and he has that same type of insight here for the Flyers too. But this is the player that I think is going to go, okay, because he's low enough on the poll that it's not going to really help the Flyers financially. You know what I mean? And will hurt the Flyers on the ice. Okay, and we're talking about Nicholas Obel.
For sure. Or NAK, as everybody calls him.
Or Knack.
Yeah, Knack. Whatever you want to call him. This guy, he was this season, in my mind, kind of drew attention by the refs, if you want to call it, towards the end of the year. He's kind of had the treatment from them to be always having their watchful eye on him. So, but the reason I put this guy down there, because we all know from Hackstall's time here in Philadelphia that he loves his bottom six forwards, to his demise a little too much while he was here in Philadelphia. If you all remember a name, Chris Vandevelde or Jordan Wheel or Matt Reed.
Oh, stop.
Or,
Stop.
PEB. All these guys.
I thought I would never have to hear the name Vandevelde again. Or
what
was it?
AHL.
Was it Nedved? Was it Nedved too? Was another one?
Yeah. There's a list of them for sure. Now, to his credit, he was the head coach here during a full-on rebuild. Okay. Hackstall didn't do him any favors. He didn't bring in any star players for him to slot into the roster, but he also took away from ice time, and gave more time to those players previously mentioned than letting a guy like Scott Laughton, who was on the team, still trying to develop into the player that he is today. And he gave him less ice, a first-round draft pick, less ice time than Chris Vandevelde. So to his own demise, that's why he pretty much got the boot from Philadelphia. Now, Knack is a kind of guy that I think Dave Hackstall might like, obsessively almost, because he makes a good contract.
Yeah.
He is signed to a good deal of just over $1 million a year.
Exactly.
And he brings that sort of toughness and
little
gritty type player, which the Flyers need more of, honestly. And he's looked at as that player on this team, and he's not even that overly physical. It's just probably the most physical guy we have on the team, besides maybe Scott Laughton on the forecheck. So
yeah,
that's why I think that NAK might, like you say, be the surprise wild card pick here out of all of them, and pass by all these great players with a lot of goals and stats under their belt, but for this type player, because he's a role type guy, he's a penalty killer, he's a guy that can move up and down the lineup, he's very versatile. So sadly, this is the guy that the Kraken might pick over everybody. Now, we don't know what the list, Chuck's list will look like until a couple days from now, but who knows who they might select here. But my pick, it sadly might be Knack here.
Yeah, that's what I think is going to end up happening. Okay, I just have that feeling, because he's that particular type of player, just like you said. He's that role type of player. He would be that perfect player to grab for the Seattle. He doesn't come very expensive. They are not going to need to do anything major. Just be like, yeah, we'll take Knack, thank you. Next, Pittsburgh Penguins. You know what I mean? That's basically how it's going to fly. You know what I mean? At least that's how I envision it going to fly like that anyway.
Hey, I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping they
Yeah.
select somebody with a lot of
Oh man.
cap and take them, and I'll buy them a first class ticket out of here. Personally, just so we can bring somebody else in.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll have to see.
Let me say this. When the Flyers release their list, man, I'll tell you what. I have a feeling there's going to be a name on that list that we weren't expecting.
It better not be Nolan Patrick. That's all I gotta say.
Like I said, there's going to be a name on that list that we weren't expecting. Okay. Be prepared for that. Be prepared for that. Because I'm here to tell you, I'm not getting the warm and fuzzies here. And I know we call it, I'm getting the cold scratchies, from this current administration as far as how I feel with what they're doing moving forward. So we've given Chuck a lot of ideas here, man. What do you think?
I think I've done it to excess here. Like I said, where there's a will, there's a way, and something needs to happen, pretty substantial, to change this, cloud that's over top Philadelphia right now, as far as the Flyers go, and they need to do something and do something very quickly. And there is plenty of different free agents out there that they could bring in. There's definitely quite a few trades. There's countless things that they can do, but they have to want it bad enough and be willing to risk, making the wrong move in order to make a move, period.
I mean, it's going to come to that. It really is going to come to that. You're going to have to say we have to take a chance on some things
somewhere,
somehow, some way, because if you just stand pat and hold station and try to put this same team out there on that ice, that's probably going to get you fired. At least as far as I would be concerned, to be honest with you. Look, we selected quite a few different names here that we all feel would be great players for the Kraken, because we would like to see those names go and that money come off the books. If that's going to be the case, and Flyers are going to be able to get that particular player and get that kind of money off the books and be able to go out and make all those moves that we suggest, I will start to have some more faith. But if I don't see that plan come to fruition, then my faith is going to continue to drop even more. And then I'm going to really be sweating it out here at the beginning of the season after the first, say, 15 games or so. Mm. And the team is, 3-8-1 or 3-8-6 or whatever. Yeah. How you doing now, buddy?
Yeah. I used to take the day off of work for the first day of free agency. To sit home and watch who the Flyers were going after and getting. And that's how,
You've wasted a lot of days off, man.
But that was before. But the past couple of years, I definitely have not done that. But I would like to be able to return to that, procedure and, enjoy the first day, because, to me, or to any hockey fan, it should be, this is the perfect time of year because everybody's back to square one. The Lightning won the cup, yes, but
congratulations.
Heck, if we made the right choices and the Flyers, did the right things this offseason, maybe that could be us. And I don't know. I don't see that happening. I don't have the faith that I once did that at least they would go out and try to bring somebody in.
Yeah.
That's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
That's going to make their team better in the position they need it the most, like they've done before.
Yeah. We'll see, right? We'll see. They only have a couple of days here, to get this taken care of, and so we'll see. That's for sure. So, all right, my man. I would first of all like to say congratulations on making Bleacher Reports, my man. 34th week in a row. That is the Hockey Writers Inc. salute. Thank you very much, Flyers Nitty Gritty, for all your support. Really appreciate that, man. Every time our show goes out, it goes on to Bleacher Report. So thank you very much for that. We would also like to thank our great sponsor, Canine Country Club Resorts. They take care of all your pets' needs from daycare to spa treatments and even pool time. Check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com. I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers, along with your great and wonderful host,
Lance Green.
And where can we find you, Lance?
Sure. You and possibly Chuck Fletcher, if you need my services in the next couple weeks here.
Tune in, Chuck, right now. Listen to this address. Let's go.
Yeah. And you can follow me or get in touch with me at LNGBassist39 on Twitter.
Yes.
And you can catch all my articles, as always, on Flyers Nitty Gritty and this show on the great SteelFlyers website.
Yeah, man. There you go. That's how you do it. Thank you very much for joining us, folks. We'll catch you all the next time on the Hockey Writers Inc. Thank you all very much for watching. We'll see you next time.